should.
Welcome back to Open Line. We are talking about politics tonight. We have with us the chair of the Tennessee Democratic Party, Mary Mancini. We will have the chair of the Republican Party on at a later date. The conventions are coming up, so plenty to talk about.
Yes.
Let's go to the phones. Barry, hello, Barry.
Yes.
Go right ahead, Barry.
Yeah. Just so everybody know, I'm not a Republican, Democrat, Independent, Tea Party member, etc.
Okay.
The thing I have taken in my life, I believe in being a Christian. I have not voted for a Democrat since in their convention a few years back that they took and declared themselves to back same-sex marriage, etc. So therefore, my comment is this. To all people that profess godliness, God says no to this abomination. And if you vote for a Democrat of any sort, since they've already taken gave themselves to this here lifestyle, simple lifestyle, guess what? You're taking and voting against God. The further thing is this.
Okay, I get it. So I get where you're coming from. All right, so here is one of these big issues. There's a huge difference here on the Democratic and Republican side.
Sure.
How does that play, do you think, in Tennessee? Here's someone who clearly has a position, very passionate about it, and it's going to be the opposite of the Democratic position. Where do you think we are in Tennessee?
I don't know where I mean, let me start this way. This state is a lot more purple than people want us to think. I travel around a lot, and I meet a lot of Democrats, and I meet a lot of independents, and people are reasonable. Like I said, it wasn't too long ago that we elected a Democratic governor with 95 counties. You know, this is not a state full of extremists. It's just not. I mean, we have them on both sides, but the state, for the most part, isn't like that. The Democratic Party believes in equality for everyone, not just the folks that you know, you or I say, and that equality should and is extended to our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters. Period. End of story. The marriage equality issue, I think what some folks don't understand is that there's a huge difference between what the state does and what churches do. There is no Democrat out there that would ever force a church to marry two people of the same sex, which is not going to happen. But but remember what marriage is, right? Marriage is a contract that the state gives you the license for, right? So when you or I go and get married, we're taking that license that we get from the state and we're bringing it to whoever does the marriage ceremony to sign. That could be a minister, a priest, it could be a justice of the peace. So the contract is with the state, not with the church. So again, no Democrat is ever going to force a church to marry two people of the same sex. But the state has to treat everyone equally, and that's what we believe in.
And it's interesting. So you said we're not red, we're more purple than people think. When you look at our legislature, people may say you don't get that sense. So how is that the case? Why do we have a legislature that's not purple?
Right. So it goes back to redistricting again, right? It goes back to when the Republicans won control. Because in this state, the party that controls the legislature controls redistricting. And the Republicans took control of the legislature right when our redistricting cycle came up. And the way they drew the map was to make the districts, they made the blue districts, the Democratic districts, as blue as possible, overwhelmingly blue, and so that all the other districts, or a majority of all the other districts, were overwhelmingly red. That's how they did it. So, you know, if you take an area in West Tennessee or East Tennessee and you actually redistrict using grid lines, or instead of drawing, I mean, you should look at some of the way the districts are drawn. What you're going to get is a lot more even of a district than the way it is now. So it's two things. It's the redistricting, and it's the fact that they've been telling us, and that people are believing it, that this is a red state. And again, you know, we need to look at our past. We need to look at our future, right? We need to look at how cities are changing, how the demographics in Tennessee is changing. So when you combine all of those things, you know, the picture doesn't say or it doesn't scream red state, it screams purple state. And I'm talking about going way back, into the early 1900s.
So how long do you think it would take us to be more reflective of not so deeply red when it comes to at least our elections? How long do you think that would be, where the Democratic Party would gain more seats in the legislature, or where they would go for a Democratic candidate? I mean, maybe you think it will happen this time with Hillary, but when do you think we'll make that change back in the other direction?
Well, look, I don't have a crystal ball, and I also am not Pollyanna, right? So I also know that Tennessee is one of the states that it doesn't progress as fast as the states on the coast do. But again, when you look at who's moving here and who's living here, and the fact that the electorate is changing in terms of a more diverse electorate, it'll get there. I don't know when, but the entire country is moving in that direction. So there's no reason to think that Tennessee won't get there as well.
So today there was the big announcement, as we said at the top of the show, the big endorsement. Bernie Sanders endorsed Hillary Clinton. What is? I saw some reports and that kind of thing that some Bernie Sanders supporters aren't going to come along, that they're not happy.
Right.
What's your sense there?
And we've expected that. But Bernie did an amazing job running for president, right? Senator Sanders brought up issues that may not have been talked about if he wasn't in the race, right? When you watched our debates, you saw Senator Sanders, Governor O'Malley, Secretary Clinton talking about substantive issues, and things that really matter to the American people. And Bernie was a huge part of that and defined a lot of that conversation. So, first of all, I want to thank him for that. Now, his supporters, we always knew that some of his supporters wouldn't come along. They look. There's people out there that their politicians have to be pure. They don't understand, and I'm not saying this in a condescending way. Not understand, but they don't want to compromise, right? They want, and that's fine. People have every right to want things to be better, and so some folks may not want to vote for Hillary Clinton because of that, and they may not vote at all or whatever. But the vast majority of people that support Bernie Sanders aren't coming along blindly to follow the Democratic Party or Hillary. They want to make things better for everybody, and they understand that to do that you have to work within the system, and you have to be a part of the system, and you have to vote. So I'm not concerned that the vast majority of Bernie supporters are going to leave, because they're not. They're going to continue to work. They're going to work within the Democratic Party. They're going to vote for Hillary Clinton, and they're going to make the Democratic Party better.
If you were talking to a Bernie Sanders supporter, what could you say specifically he did to move Hillary Clinton or the party one way or another? Like, what's one or two or whatever? What are some things that'll be on the platform that wouldn't have been if he hadn't run?
That's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, I know that the $15 or the increase in a minimum wage is on there now. There's a more expanded climate change piece of the platform. But it really is hard to say would we have gotten there without him specifically. I don't know. But I can tell you that it's just been a better conversation. It's a better conversation overall that we've had.
All right, let's go to the phone. Les, is that right? Les or Wes? Wes? Wes, sorry. Go right ahead, Wes. Sorry. You're on, Wes. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to make a comment that one of the reasons I will not vote Democrat is because if you look at the areas of Tennessee, or not just Tennessee, that tend to vote that way, Shelby County, parts of Edison County, you look at the lower income, they're just bad areas. Would you want your children to grow up in an area that votes Democratic or Republican? It has to do with prosperity. Thank you.
Well, Davidson County often votes Democratic, but I think
I didn't understand that.
He's saying if you look at areas that vote Democratic, they are
I think he's
lower quality of life.
I think he's letting his prejudices show in that instance. I think that's his problem, because he's not looking outside of his own prejudices when it comes to looking at voters and who they vote for and why they vote.
You're in the middle of this process every day. How divided do you think we are, and is it? Where do we get out of it? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah.
Where do you think we're headed? How divided are we? These two candidates that it looks like will be nominated, they're very different. You know, there's something going on out there, and people have tried to identify exactly what it is. But okay, you're in the middle of this. How divided are we? Are you concerned?
That's a great question, Ben. I'm not concerned. We just celebrated this country's 240th birthday. It's an amazing accomplishment, this country. It's a miracle, really. And we keep moving forward. And we absolutely have had setbacks, and yet we keep moving forward. So I think we are definitely in a setback period when it comes to not people of both sides not working together and not communicating well and not trying to actually do what's best for either the people of the state of Tennessee when it pertains to our state legislature, or when it comes to Congress. But I also know that there are great people out there waiting in the wings who are desperate to make this country better and move this country forward. They're candidates. They're already, we have some great Democratic elected officials at the state legislature already who are working their butts off in the super minority every day just to expose some of the things that the Republican supermajority is doing. Because they want to make people's lives better. And I don't think, and I know that sounds hyper-partisan, but I don't think that is just limited to the Democratic Party. I think that there are folks on the other side who want that as well. But I think that the Republican Party has also created the mess that they see themselves in terms of, they have a lot of extremists up at the state legislature because, again, going back to redistricting, they've created these hyper-red districts full of hyper-partisan Republicans, Tea Party and otherwise, that vote for the most extremist candidate on their side, and those candidates are winning then. So I think, again, change for the better will happen. It's not just the Democrats that want that. But right now, we're in the position to do something about the supermajority at the state legislature that has not been doing what's best for the people of Tennessee.
Part of your job, as I understand it, is to get people to run, right?
Yeah.
You go out and recruit people, Democrats, to run. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a divided situation we're in now. How tough is it to get people to run? Do you have people that maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they would have run, and now they're like, you know what, I don't want to get into that.
It runs the gamut, right? So, and it's not just the state party. The best thing about this cycle is that the state Democratic Party, the House caucus and the Senate caucus, and other advocates and folks came together to do a huge push for recruitment this election cycle. And so we've got over 100 candidates that are running all over the state. What you described in terms of the difficulty is absolutely there, right? But then we've also had people that are chomping at the bit, right? So again, it just depends, and it's hard to say to someone, we're in the super minority, hey, run for office, right? But then there are other people that have said, you know what, I'm doing it because I can't stand the way the Republicans have not even brought Insure Tennessee to the floor of the House for a vote. They bottled it up in committee, and this bill that was introduced by a Republican governor to a Republican supermajority in the State House and State Senate went nowhere, and it could have ensured, given access to affordable health care for 300,000 hardworking Tennesseans, right? So people see that and they're like, oh, let me add it. I'm running. So it really does depend on just, who we're talking to and, what their feeling is. So.
All right, we'll take a break. If you want to call, there's the number 615-737+, 615-737-7587. If you're on the line, hold on. We'll get to your call. I'll be back right after this.